Hey my friends, this is Sylvie Carey, Lady of Cute. It's August 2020 and I'm still keeping myself at home. Hubby has a garden going, and in that garden he's got lots and lots of zucchini. We get 4, sometimes 5 zucchini a day. And it's very hard to keep up with it, very hard to give it away if you're social distancing, but hey, what the heck. So I've been trying my hand at various recipes incorporating the zucchini. I went through a lot of recipes for some muffins which use zucchini. And I also wanted to include something healthy like rolled oats and dates, because I have those in my pantry. And so today I'm going to be making muffins which include zucchini, the dates, and rolled oats. Oh, why can't I say that? Rolled oats. Anyway, come with me and let's get this party started. There are lots of ingredients in this recipe, and I'm going to go through what they are. I've got 2 large eggs. I've got 1 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I'm going to be grating 3 cups of zucchini. That bad boy, it got a little bit too big, so that's the reason I'm going to be using it in this recipe. I've got 3/4 of a cup of melted butter, 1 cup of rolled oats, 1 3/4 cups of flour. I've got some baking soda and baking powder, 1 teaspoon each. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I've got 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ginger, dried ground ginger, and about 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground nutmeg. In addition, the dates, I've got about 1 cup of dates, and I'm going to show you how I prepare these. For the dates, I want them cut up into small pieces so there won't be big chunks in my muffins. And to do this, I take 1 date, and this is a mid-draw date, and I have to remove the seed. And that's just a matter of cutting a slit in the side, opening it up. There's a little cap sometimes on there and the seed. And we take that off. And then, in order to get my chunks, I tried using a knife at first, and actually that was a little bit awkward. But what I found was that if I use my kitchen shears and just cut it into little strips like this, and then taking those strips, take my little cup, I cut once again with the scissors and make it into smaller chunks. Easy peasy. In order to make this 1 cup of dates, and in this recipe, you can substitute any type of dried fruit you want. You can use raisins, you can use those little dried cranberries, any of those things like that. Just be wary of the amount of sugar. Dates are very, very sweet, which is the reason why I cut back a little bit of my sugar. The original recipe that I'm using called for about 1 1/2 cups of sugar. I cut it to 1 1/4 cups. And in order to get this 1 cup of dates, it took about 11, 12 dates to do that. To prep my zucchini, I'm going to be grating it with a little handheld grater. I could do this on my Cuisinart, but that's just an extra whole load of stuff that I'd have to clean up, because this whole recipe can be done in a bowl. It doesn't necessarily need to be done in a mixer or in a food processor. So I chose to just grate it myself. So I'm going to cut it into better to handle pieces for grating. Cut the end off and throw away the ends. Then I'll just take the grater and I'll just grate it onto a paper plate. Now, some of the recipes that I saw indicated that you should let the zucchini drain because there's quite a bit of liquid in it. But for this recipe, Well, in some other recipes I've seen, they didn't do that, specifically because we've got a lot of dry ingredients that need to be hydrated, like those rolled oats, that flour, and the sugar. So I'm going to finish grating this, and we'll come back. We'll combine all this stuff to make these muffins. I've got my 2 eggs in the mixing bowl, and I'm going to first mix those, just to break them apart. Into this, I'm going to be adding my butter, 3/4 cups of butter, my vanilla, the sugar, give that a stir around, get it combined. And I've got my 3 cups of grated zucchini, packed grated zucchini. I'm going to add that. We'll combine these ingredients. In a separate bowl, I'm going to combine my other dry ingredients, that being the flour, the rolled oats, the baking powder, baking soda, salt mixture, and the spices, that being the cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger. And we'll mix those all together. And that just makes it easier so that when we combine the wet and the dry ingredients together, it'll be more homogeneous and easier to get a batter which has all the elements all distributed evenly. Okay, there we go. Then I'm going to be adding these dry ingredients to my zucchini mixture, and I've got another mixing tool to do that. And we'll mix that all up. And it doesn't take much to mix, so you can see why we didn't need to use a mixer or a blender or a food processor to do this. We just want to make sure that all the elements get combined and that there's not any dry in there that doesn't get exposed to the moisture. The last thing to go in will be my dates. As I mentioned before, I cut these finely, and that's 1 cup of dates, and I made the dates from approximately, I think, 11 or 12 whole measure dates. So we'll get that in there and combine it with all the other ingredients. And you see the batter looks very dense, but keep in mind that zucchini is going to release a lot of moisture. You get that evenly combined. It doesn't take much. You don't want to overly do this because you don't want to develop any gluten or anything like that in there. That's all it took. And those are the ingredients that are going to go in my muffins. I've got my muffin pan ready. I put in the little paper cups, that way trying to prevent from sticking in the pans and making for easier cleanup. I'm not one for hard cleanup. And I've got a scoop, which I'm going to use to put the batter in the muffin tins. I'm going to be filling the tins up to the top of the little paper things, and each of them takes about a full scoop. Just trying to be careful putting that in there so that it doesn't leave a lot on the edges. That one looked like it had too much in there for me, so. And I'm going to go and I'm going to finish doing all the other tins, and we'll come back. While I'm doing this, I also have my oven preheating for 350 degrees Fahrenheit, or that would be 325 convection. And we're going to put them in the oven and cook for 15 to 20 minutes, depending upon the darkness. And we'll be good to go. We'll see what kind of muffins we come out with. I've got my muffin tins filled, or some would say overfilled. And what I'm hoping for is this batter will rise up and form nice little domes on top of these muffin tins. We're going to put this in the oven, come back in a few minutes, and we'll see what we got. The muffins are out of the oven. Just pulled them out, so they're still very hot. I'm going to let them cool before I attempt to take them out of the pan. They're looking good. They smell very good. And I did get some of that dome-like effect that I wanted, though I wanted it more to go up than out. And actually the reason, let me confess, the actual reason why I overfilled them is because I had, it looked like maybe another cup of batter, which would not have been worth it to bake by itself. So I tried to incorporate it in the rest of these muffins, which made them huge. Muffins are done. They haven't completely cooled, but they cooled enough for me to take them out of the muffin tin. Ooh, that's still a little hot. Interesting rise. I tasted a little bit of one of the edges and it tasted yummy. So I know they're good. So I'm going to wait for them to cool off a little bit more. Now the good thing about these is that they can be frozen. And so that when you want a treat later on, weeks later, months later, just take them out of the freezer, give them a chance to thaw. You may want to heat them up a little bit in the microwave just to get the cold or chill off of them, and you're good to go. A healthy treat with rolled oats, zucchini, dates. Hey, you also got some things like sugar, and you got butter in there, so it's all good. Here we have it. Dates, rolled oats, zucchini muffins. Well, the muffins have cooled off enough for me to eat. Doesn't that just look delicious? You can see the little pieces of zucchini and the dates distributed throughout. It's a very light muffin. It's not dense at all. Let me take another bite. Very good, not overly sweet, but it does have a sweetness to it, and that's a combination of the sugar and the dates. But let's look at the healthy side of all of this. We got rolled oats in there and zucchini. So we got vegetables and we've got fiber, and it's all good. Sylvie Curry, Lady of Q, coming at you with some rolled oats, zucchini, date muffins.